Thank you to our judges, Ann Mannings from the Ministry of Children and Family Development, Kate Lockhart from MCO, Brent Bickerton from the Bank of Montreal, Lonnie Swanland from BC Investment Management Corporation, Mark DeFrias from Victoria Highlanders, and Guy Nismet from Royal Roads University. Competitors will have a maximum of 20 minutes to present. Immediately following the presentation, judges will have a total of 5 minutes to ask the presenters questions. The volunteer timekeeper will show time cards at various intervals to indicate the remaining time, and will stop any speaker who exceeds the maximum time limit. No questions, comments, cell phones, or picture taking will be permitted from the audience at any time. The audience is banned from any materials that bear the name or symbol of a competing university. The audience will not be permitted to applaud until following the question and answer period. We ask that the audience exit the room immediately following the question and answer period. Competitors, you may start whenever you're ready.
Good afternoon, Mr. Grandin. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today as you embark on this exciting adventure of purchasing the Cambridge Eagles franchise. We are Alliance Consulting. I am Melissa, this is David and Sagar, and we're here today to take you through a plan to help you create a solid foundation for the Cambridge Eagles, to help you keep that community involvement that is so core to how the Cambridge Eagles operate within their local community. We're going to take you through how we're going to keep that local connection and help you expand your stakeholders and keep everyone involved, happy, and still engaged with your community. So you came to us today with the problem of how can the Cambridge Eagles rebuild its organization after its recent couple issues and maintain and expand its stakeholder base, keeping those volunteers happy, expanding that volunteer base, keeping its players happy, and maintaining their current staff. So we have 3 key challenges that your organization is faced with. The first one is the leadership and staffing. You purchasing the franchise will represent a core change in leadership. However, you do have a solid foundation of Mr. Silver, who has helped build this foundation as well. And however, with the change in leadership, Mr. Silver may not stay, and we see that as a key challenge because we see him as essential to the foundation. Second is the Parks and Recreation field is no longer able for you guys to use for the 2014 to 2015 season. This is an immediate problem that needs to be addressed in order to make sure that the Cambridge Eagles can play for that season and then move forward with the Parks and Recreation field after. And the third key challenge is that volunteer recruitment. Lisa was your key volunteer, but she has indicated that she is no longer going to be with the organization. As she is the one who has recruited most of your volunteers, we see this as a problem because there is a potential that those volunteers might follow her leading. So this is a key challenge that we want to address to make sure that you have that expansive volunteer base and staff to keep this organization going into the future. So we have identified 5 major stakeholders that we believe are core in considering for whatever you do going forward. First of all is your fans. The public relations issues with the previous owner are a bit of an issue, and the fans need to be addressed. Second of all is the city, as they are the ones running the Parks and Recreation field. They need to be considered with whatever plan you use going forward. Third of all, your players. There is high turnaround. You need to make sure that your players are happy and staying with your organization. Your staff, because they are so core, they do put in massive amounts of volunteer hours. And your volunteers, because your organization could not run without these volunteers. However, the 3 that we would like to focus on today are your players, your staff, and your volunteers. As previously mentioned, we want to help you build a solid foundation, a foundation of the organization that then moving forward will be able to expand outwards to create those fans, those relationships with your fans. To create that good relationship with the city, you need to build internally first and then expand outward.
Excellent. So having done a stakeholder analysis, we're looking at the players first. So they are the public face of your organization. They're really what's driving you forward. And they are an integral part of the community and an integral part of every aspect of that community. Behind every great community, there are people, there are families, there are business owners. And these are all individuals who are heavily invested within your community and more importantly, within the Eagles. They are unpaid. They do pay to belong to the organization. Now, there are benefits that do mitigate that, and that's something that is important. There is a high turnover, as the risk of injury is extremely high within the sport. We do notice that there is about a 30% turnover rate with some of the players, and that is something that we will be bringing up. The staff are really crucial. They fundraise, they bring in investment to the Eagles. This is a company that really thrives off of donations and really thrives off of charitable individuals who really need a place to park their money to invest back into the community. They play key leadership roles, communications, other leadership roles. These are all very important aspects of any organization, and this is something that is filled by various team members who have been with you, and you need to engage them and ensure that their retention is your focus. Volunteer hours. Not only do they work a 9-to-5 traditional job, these people are going above and beyond. As you've noticed, these people will go from 8 in the morning until 11 at night, if that's what's necessary to keep this organization and this team afloat and to be a strong individual within this community. The volunteers. With every single organization, there's always volunteers behind it. This is something that we and you really feel that this is such a huge and integral part. They help cut costs because of their excessive labor hours and because of what's going in. These are people who, this is their passion. This is their drive. They're trying to give back to the community in any way that they can. Community involvement. Not only are they involved with your organization, but your league itself continues to strive for charitable outlets. This is not only about giving back to the community in terms of sports, but giving back in whichever way that can possibly be donated. Singular source. What this really means is that, as Melissa mentioned, Lisa is looking at leaving, and Lisa is the individual that brought all of these volunteers in. Without that link, your organization needs to find another individual who is as charismatic as Lisa and is able to bring in the same familiar faces, the same fresh ideas, and continue this into the sustainable and rewarding future.
So looking at those issues that we saw and the stakeholders that you need to consider, we've come up with 3 possible paths of action for your organization. So the first will be external investment and relocation. Second, being a school partnership, and lastly, to utilize community resources. So looking at these into further detail, we were going to look on the criteria to see which alternative you should decide on today. So these three are going to be essential in deciding your future and seeing what's going to help make sure your organization is sustainable for the future. So financial feasibility. As this organization has very low costs, and also there's not much of a budget to work on, you need to make sure that you have financial feasibility to meet so that you can implement your actions. Brand image. Because of everything that happened with Mr. Burknell and your PR image being hurt, you need to make sure that the action that you take today is going to positively impact your brand image so that you maintain those fans, you maintain those volunteers, you maintain your staff as well. Timeliness. As Melissa was mentioning before, that field that you had with Parks and Recreation, that's not going to be available next year. So what are you going to do in that short amount of time that you need to make decisions quickly? Adapt quickly so that you can adapt to the changing environment. So looking at the first one, external investment and relocation. This happens with many sports teams all across North America. Sometimes it doesn't work in a city and they need to find a different city to relocate to so that it's successful there. Where there is a field, there are fans, there's people that want an NAFL team. So you can try to find an external investor to help relocate the team, which would give their organization and the team a fresh start so that they're able to find new fans and find a new field and everything like that. Why would you do this? So it would be financially feasible because for you, Mr. Gardner, you will no longer have that little bit of a burden from owning this franchise. You would have that external funding for that new team. The brand image. Because you have a fresh start in a new place, you no longer have the image of Mr. Burknell kind of carrying it down, so you can look towards recreating a new brand. But why not is the biggest thing here, is that it's not timely. You need to find that donor, you need to have negotiations, which ends up taking a lot of time. And what's also very important is that your organization, your team was built on passion, with the community, with everybody, with the staff and volunteers, and this doesn't take that passion along with it. Second is a school partnership. So what you could do is go to the Cambridge College, University, try to get them to partner with you. So what you could do is get them to use their field. You can source volunteers from there as well, and make sure that it's really connected with that school. The players that don't go through the NFL draft, that are undrafted, you can try to get them from that college. So a big why with this is the financial feasibility. As it is a local college, it is something that it won't have that many costs, so it'll help you save there. It'll help maintain that, keep a good brand image, because now your players can have a good mentorship with local football players, local college, university students that they can create a better rapport with. But a big why not is it's a very short term. This is something that would help solve your problem in the short term to get that new field and get those volunteers, but it doesn't look into the sustainable long-term future. Lastly, utilizing community resources. A big part of your organization and your team is that passion again. So what this is going to focus on is community involvement. So looking at, again, with some of the trying to get a new field, but it's also going to look into your volunteers, having appreciation and a new recruitment strategy for the volunteers, and providing a return for the staff as well by providing equity within your organization. So why is this? This can be very timely. By getting that new field right away, you're going to ensure that you have that new field in that new year. This can be done quickly, and it's going to improve your brand image. We're going to focus on certain things that you're going to do with your public relations to make sure that brand image stays intact and positive to sustain that community involvement. It's a small issue to consider is the financial feasibility. There are small costs to consider, but with incurring these small costs in the short term, we ensure that in the long term, your organization will be successful. So due to these, we suggest that you keep utilizing the community resources.
As any good coach knows, the key to winning a game is to memorizing those basic skills. You can't win a game if you can't complete a basic pass, if you can't snap the ball effectively to your quarterback. So we're going to take you back to basics, back to those basics of volunteer recruitment, back to those basics of showing those volunteers how essential they are to your organization, showing your appreciation to them, and back to the basics of encouraging those current staff members to remain with your organization, giving them incentive to remain with your organization, to build and grow with your future, Mr. Grandin. So we're going to take you through three steps of this implementation. The first one is the short-term solution, the new field. Leasing it 1 year from the local college, a 1 year time where you can get that field going, continue your rebuild, and still have the team playing. Then we're going to take you through the staffing. We're going to take you through how we're going to offer equity to Mr. Silver and Mr. Goetz in order to help them remain with your organization, and then with the volunteers. How you're going to get those volunteers in and show them how essential they are to your organization, and show them how much you appreciate them, and how you're going to recruit future volunteers if those current volunteers do leave. So the first one is that new field. This is to be completed immediately. Contacting the local college, getting them used to that field for that 1 year, just so that you can continue with your organization, continue with building that foundation, and still have those players playing and have the fans coming to see them. Then after the 1 year, you use the renovated field that will be newly, and you can market that and use that newly renovated field to create, to really release your new brand image. The benefits for the college, why would they want you to do this? You can offer student discounts on tickets. Currently you charge $8 a ticket. You could offer students a $5 a ticket to get them to come to the games. If you would of course pay that same field rental fee, and it would increase marketing awareness for the college as well. Why would they want to do this? The NAFL does advertise and market for you. They would market you being at this college for their games, and this would create a mutually beneficial relationship for this college and yourselves. Next, we want to take you through the staffing. So we are recommending for Mr. Silver and Mr. Goetz, who came in with the previous owner, in order to maintain them with the current management and maintain them because we see them as essential to your organization. We are suggesting that you offer them 10% equity each to give them a buy-in for the organization. They were not previously equity partners. Give them that buy-in, show them how essential they are to your organization, and offer that in return for a 2-year contract.
So looking into the staff and organizational funding, your organization depends on the sponsorships and funding from the public. And what this helps you do is that make sure that your revenues and your budget stays sustainable as well. So currently you have Mr. Goetz, and you had Mr. Berknell handling this, assisted by John Yotzman. So what we suggest now is that these will now be handled by Goetz and yourself, Mr. Grandin. Because you are now the main face of the organization, you should be the one seeking out those sponsors, meeting with them and showing them how you're devoted to that new brand image. Mr. Goetz already has that experience within the sponsorship field. He knows exactly what to do, and he does have that mentor of John Yotzman that can help you go into that new future of you being that new face of the organization. The pitch that you would provide to these sponsors is now that you're focusing on the change that you're providing. This is a brand new organization. You're going to focus on the sustainability of this organization by saying how it's going to be effective in the long term with your staff, your volunteers, the field that you'll have access to. And it's going to be through transparency, which we're going to touch on a little bit later on how it's going to provide transparency for the public, transparency for the sponsors, and transparency for the community as well. It's going to have that newly renovated field so you can have that marketing ability there. And you're also going to talk to them about the stable team and organization. Because of the stability you're providing them, you're showing them that they can have a long-term sponsorship in return for the long-term community gains as well. So volunteer appreciation. You need to show these volunteers that although they were brought by Lisa, they should stay with your organization. They were brought in because of the passion. So let's keep them there. Let's show them that we appreciate them. And how you do this is by hosting a volunteer retreat. So having all the staff, having all the volunteers, something nice and quick so that, going for a weekend to a camp, have some team building exercise, just so everybody gets to know each other. Show the volunteers that you really appreciate them being there. Second, having a monthly volunteer potluck. This again is going off after that community feel, that community vibe. It's going to actually be hosted by yourself, Mr. Grandin, and your staff, so that you bring everybody together so that they're talking, they're enjoying themselves, and you have that feel so that they want to stay, continuing to work together, not only just for the passion of football, but for the passion of working together as well. It's going to have that casual setting just to encourage people to talk and get along with each other as well. Looking secondly into the volunteer recruitment. As my colleagues were mentioning, you were focusing a lot on Lisa because she brought in all your volunteers. So now we want you to recruit from your season ticket holders. These are the people that are looking to support your organization. They come to your home games and they want to see the Cambridge Eagles grow. So let's offer them an opportunity to volunteer with your organization to show them that they can help. They can help make this something for the community and for the team as well. So it'll give them, they're already invested in the team, and it'll give them a chance to work with the team directly with the players, the coaches, and staff. Second, we want you to look at the youth football team. So look at local high schools, local college and universities. And what this would do is you can talk to those coaches to provide them with opportunities for the game days and practices. They actually get to work alongside the players. They get to work with the staff and the coaches. It really gives them something that they're interested in, and it'll offer them a chance to showcase their team at the games. So what this would do, the big impact here, is that's going to garner good faith with the community and with the local youth as well. Second is public relations. This is very important because of everything that happened with Mr. Berknell. We want you to have signing authority for 2 people now, instead of just 1, so that even though, Mr. Gardner, you are in charge of this organization, you brought in your equity, you invested in it, we want this to be a dual signing signature so that every time you want to take out funds, this is going to provide that transparency to your public, and it's going to show them that you are not using the organization's sponsorship dollars for other uses. You're also going to have a press release to show that you're transparent with your finances, and it's going to show everybody the updates on the organizational changes. So everybody within the community knows exactly what's going to be happening.
So looking at a timeline of this proposal, we're really estimating it'll take just under a year to a year. Right away, we recommend looking into different fields that you can rent, approaching the high school, approaching the college that is in Cambridge, and really looking at your options, making sure that your team has the best one. Staff equity, offering those 2 members of your team a stake, an equity stake in the company and the organization. And the remainder follows through. If you have any questions, we can definitely talk about that afterwards. Our metrics, 2-year metrics, we really want your organization to succeed financially and to be able to break even for the next 2 years, to grow your volunteer base by 25% and to decrease your turnover from staff and volunteers by 25% in the next 2 years as well.
So looking at some of the risks that we've outlined today, one big risk is that what if a college does refuse the field rental? What you can look to is you do have local high schools that you can approach for games, and also Mundy Park with the Parks and Recreation for having the practices as well. We do have another risk that we can talk about later on if you would like. So looking overall back to the basics, this is going back to the passion that you have in the community. This is going back to the basics of how do you keep volunteers, how do you keep staff, how do you keep people motivated to stay within this organization. You have that issue currently with your public relations, you have the issue with your stakeholders, how do you make them grow? It's going to go out to having the new field in the temporary short term, and the long term, having those returns for the staff and the volunteers. This is going to make sure that the passion for the sport grows, passion for the organization, that's going to stay in the long term. Thank you very much, and I'd like to open up for questions.
So I just have a question. Why would you not consider a long-term relationship with the schools? Why would the schools not partner with you only 1 year rather than what would make them only want to commit to something like that?
For the schools, the temporary is just the field. So that would be the short term, but the things such as the working with the teams, the football teams, the colleges, that is something that can happen in the long term. So just the field would be temporary.
Just a quick question for you. You talked about community, you talked about using a community college, which I thought was a brilliant idea. And the energy around the community you had, I thought that was brilliant. And Sauger, is it?
Yeah.
I think there was one point where you almost said, not quite, but almost said, this isn't about football. Because you said, this can go beyond football. And I was wondering, do you see this essentially as working with the NFL to save this football club, or did you see it as a community development initiative?
Well, the organization it grew because of the three people just wanting to have that NFL team within this city. They didn't want something for profits. And when you look at professional sports teams, that's what they usually look for. So we wanted to focus more so on the community development, community aspect, because that's how the organization grew, that's how it was built, and also that's what made them very successful as well. So by maintaining those low costs and by maintaining those things for the staff and volunteers, we want to go back to that community field to focus on those basics of the success that you've had in the past.
Did you put together an analysis of potential costs of achieving your organization?
We do, absolutely. I can certainly walk you in here. So we're looking at a total of $1,500 for the entire plan. Because your organization is a low profit running organization, and we're really trying to bump you up to that break-even point, we've designed everything with costs in mind. Field rentals, $4,000, as we will be looking to partner with community colleges for your organization. $500 for volunteer and staff retreat. This is really showing your staff that they're so attached, and what drives and ignites their passion, something that you really care about and you really care about them. The lawyer expenses for $500 are simply just issuing that equity to the two different individuals. So all in all, it's $1,500 for the plan.
Just noticed on in your volunteer recruitment, you're looking to recruit from your season ticket holders. What does that do to your ticket sales? Because if they're volunteering, are they not going to be able to attend the games for free? So what does that do to your revenue from your ticket sales?
Of course. So right now, you do not have, you have 300 season ticket holders, and the amount of volunteers that you require as on a regular basis are around 12 to that day-to-day activity. So we do not think that it will have a huge impact on your season ticket holders. You're only looking for about 12 volunteers, and we are hoping that with the volunteer appreciation, and we do believe that showing the volunteers the appreciation, showing them the impact they can have, we won't require to replace all 12. You'll only require to replace hopefully maybe Lisa and then 2 or 3 of them, and maintain the current volunteers that you have.
Your plan talks about the goats and John Yatson. I'm just wondering if, and also Brian Silver, what's the risk of them not coming on board with the organization? What are you going to do to mitigate that to affect, obviously, funds?
That is a risk that we saw. One thing is that both Silver and Goats are been working many hours with as much as 10 hours per week unpaid. So we do see that they are motivated to stay within the organization, but providing them with that equity and that return, they will be motivated. However, the risk that, of course, if they don't sign on, is that you do have the other 4 volunteers that you can count on because they are currently working many hours. And the other thing is that because you have many season ticket holders and we're going to be doing that new volunteer recruitment, there are many people that you can approach in the community that would be wanting to help with the organization.
Have you had any discussion at all about increasing your sponsors and members' calling?
We can definitely look into increasing the sponsorship, but at the moment we did not. We wanted to really look at who is currently contributing and how we can partner with other members of the community, such as the community college and high schools, where they're able to